This is called a waffle garden. It's a part of our demonstration garden here at campus. It's based on an 8,000-year-old technology that was developed by the Pueblo Indians of the Southwest to make efficient use of water, and still in use today. As you can see, the shape of the garden actually mimics a waffle, so that, like the syrup on the waffle, any water that is given to the garden is concentrated directly right into the plant root system.
So any rain, dew, even hand watering, it all goes right to the roots.
That's right.
Now I understand the principle, but how do you set up a waffle garden?
I've got one going at the top. Let's go check it out. So Roger, as you know, to be a successful gardener, you have to have a balanced soil. The same is true in our waffle gardens, but here in this part of New Mexico, we deal with heavy clay soils.
I hate heavy clay soils. It's so hard to get anything growing it because it's hard as a rock.
That's right, but you know, that same quality is to our advantage in developing these berms on the outside, because clay does hold water, so it allows the water to be retained in these cells right where it needs to be.
All right, well, how do we get started?
Well, grab a shovel. We're going to take and start to move this clay. We want to take the outside soil and pile it to the inside. This is going to make our berm. Before you get too far, keep in mind the size of that cell. I use the square pointed shovel to be able to determine that. It really makes it easy to work later on and weed, because the shovel really fits the size of the cell.
Well, as long as you got your shovel with you, you got your tape measure, right?
That's right. You need to keep compacting the soil in this berm and really take advantage of the quality of that clay to take all of the air out of it. Thereby it keeps holding that water in our cell. So get up on it and use your feet, because I really think the weight is really important.
Are you trying to say something to me?
It's looking great. So Roger, take your Collins axe and let's start turning over the soil in this cell. We want to combine the sand, silt, and clay that is present. Use the pick end first. We want to go as deep as we can, because remember, these soils are pretty shallow too. So now that we have our parent material incorporated, let's take a look and see what we've got.
Feels pretty good, but still a little heavy.
Yeah, a little too much clay, but we can fix that.
Let's do it.
So let's use some coarse textured material, sand, to improve the drainage on this.
That'll help break up that clay.
While you're pouring it in, I'll just incorporate it and see how this amount of sand affects the texture. Let's see what this sand has done to our growing media. It's really improved it. You can see now it clumps a little bit, but it's very friable.
Breaks right apart.
I also want to add some mushroom compost to the soil.
I love adding compost to the garden. It does three things. It adds nutrients, it helps soil structure, but most importantly, it adds microorganisms to the soil and helps it become alive.
You know, it's really important that we have a sterile compost.
You have to make sure it's sterile, or otherwise you're going to end up with a whole bunch of weed seeds in your garden. Well, what do you think? We ready to plant?
Let's do it. So Roger, we're going to plant this bed from seed. What I did is picked up some organic seed at the nursery. Got lettuce, chard, mustard greens, and beets.
Great.
So as you know, good rule of thumb for planting depth on seed is 1.5 times the diameter of that seed. And so let's do a random mix in this. It's just beautiful when it starts coming up. And it's also very indicative of a kitchen garden to have several different varieties that complement each other. So we're going to lightly sprinkle these in, cover them up very lightly. So you want to put some beet seeds over here with you.
Sure, it'll be beautiful when they come up together, huh?
I just love the mix and the randomness of this. It's going to be great. Well, let's go ahead and continue to plant. You can see this soil is so friable, you really don't need a planting tool at this point either.
No.
Now, Roger, even though this is an organic garden, we still want to do a soil test. Most of the time we do soil tests to determine what can be added to the soil to grow certain plants. But in our case, we want to see what plants we can grow based on what the natural fertility of this soil is.
So the soil is helping you select the right plant.
That's right. Our last step is to water in the waffle garden. Initially, we want to do the whole bed, including the berms, to settle the clay particles. As you can see, as we water this using a shower nozzle, real soft spray, the water does start to collect in our cells. After this first time, I'll only concentrate on the cells. So now we've got this watered in. Our seeds should germinate in 3 to 5 days. In a couple of months, we'll have a nice salad.
Luke, thanks for all the great lessons. I mean, anyone growing plants in an arid climate would really benefit from this, I think, don't you?
Well, shoot, Roger, people have known that for thousands of years.